It's the New York Football Giants Sunday. Is anyone excited? Is anyone thrilled? Is everyone waiting for this matchup of the Titans? And it's not
everyone waiting.
Whoops! Oh, sorry about that. I got a little Petco feedback there. It's not a matchup of the Titans. It's a matchup of the Saints, or also known as the Aints. Well, I don't know what I'm watching today, Zach. I got no clue. I got no clue what I'm watching. No clue what I do. No clue whatsoever. Why would I want to watch a team that actually plays well? I got to watch my Green Bay Packers lose a heartbreaker to the Detroit Lions the other day, which was a heartbreaker. That fourth down. The injury list for the Giants, well, it's long and illustrious. Malik Neighbors is now the mouth that roars, also known as Malik Neighbors, has a hip flexor. I'm looking at you, Kenny G. And another injury as well. And then you're going to have Bobby Okereke out. Deontay Banks is out. I mean, Neighbors is listed as questionable. It's one of those games that you just look at, and I always go by the secondary ticket market in reference to how games are going to look. And here's the things, and this is how the games are going to look. Tickets right now on StubHub are selling for $7. I literally had to pay someone $1 to take my tickets, and I think I overpaid them. I underpaid them, I should say. Rephrase that. I underpaid them that $1. I should have gave them $20 to take my tickets. I mean, it's bad, but it's just bad. I mean, come on, guys. It's literally just horrid what we have to go through as fans here. And everyone knows that we have a fairly new segment on this show. And I enjoy the segment now because it basically calls out Twitter idiocy. So you know what time it is, guys. We're going to do the Sunday edition of
Stupid Giant Twitter Post.
This stupid giant Twitter post. Go to Gary Myers, that beat writer for the New York Football Giants. His post is, this is not a commentary whether the Giants should bring back Joe Shane or Brian Table. I just have a problem when it said they deserve to draft their own quarterback. I feel like they have re-signed Daniel Jones. Even if they didn't draft him, they had a chance to hit reset, and they didn't. My response to Gary was, some are slow to get on the train. We've been saying that since the ink dried. How long have we been saying here that the moment they re-signed Daniel Jones, they selected their own quarterback? They dug their own hole. They selected their own quarterback. And now people are like, well, we have to give the wonderful talent evaluator known as Joe Shane the opportunity to fuck up drafting a quarterback. I mean, who literally feels comfortable allowing numbnuts Joe Shane, outside of Patricia Traina, the ability to go out and draft a quarterback? So we got Evan Neal out. We got Deontay Banks out. We got the Nacho out. It looks like Ellie Moore Fudd might play. I don't know yet. We got Bobby Okereke out. You got the likes of DJ Davidson. Oh, no, Bryce Wheaton Ford's on that list. Same with Jordan Riley. It's funny when you look at the injury list and you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, these are viable players for the Giants. These are players for the Giants that are contributors. And you look at it and go, okay, well, Nacho, Neal, Davidson, DeVito, Bryce Wheaton Ford, Jordan Riley, Johnson, Belton, Newbin, Neighbors is the only nickname, Hubbard, Phillips, and Flott. It's a who's who of nobody. But we look at that list and say, oh my God, we're down so many guys. What about Brian Burns? Malik Galladay. I mean, Neighbors. When I saw the hip flexor, and it happened during practice. The hip flexor and something else all happened during practice. You don't want to say tank because it's an ugly word. But I heard Neighbors also sprained his vagina. Not saying much. You want to run your mouth. You want to talk the talk. You want to be the man. They want me to speak out. Well, they also want you to play. And you're not, and for someone that keeps telling us about how he's got the most catches ever in the first 10 games in his NFL career, I can name 3 wide receivers that are having better seasons than you are, drafted way after you. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. It's Big T time. James Williams says, wow, those cheaper than a medium Pepsi. Oh my God, that's $7 a ticket. $7 on the secondary market on StubHub. And I was dying because I looked at, I've been tracking it because I did a video a couple days back that said, don't go. Don't buy jerseys. Don't go. Don't do anything. Just don't fucking go. Because of the fact that if you do, you're just putting money back in the coffers of this team, and they're not doing anything that is worthwhile for us to give money to. And then I go on I'm on StubHub right now. Let's see here. Oh no, the price has gone up. They're $8 a ticket right now. If you're going around the stadium, you go in the coaches club for $150. You can get, let's see here. You can get, let's see here, row 16 and section 117, which is on the corner of the end zone for $47. You can get almost on the 30 on the home side for $77. Go now. I'll wait. James Williams says, hit that like button. Watching the Eagles instead. Go Barkley. Good morning, brother. What's up, James? Blackbird says, good morning. I picked up my Dallas defense last week, and I started Dallas running back last week. They both got me 18 points. Got to pick up Bark, man. You gotta get the Barkenstein. This team is so bad. I mean, it's bad is not even the word for this team. Terrible is the word for this team. And terrible is being nice. I mean, honestly. And I look at this draft, and I keep this draft is not a deep draft. This would be the Giants' luck. This is not what I would refer to as a generational talent laden draft. It's really not. And it kind of sucks that the Giants are probably going to get a high pick and a draft that's just kind of blah. I mean, you're going to have those. It reminds me of the 2022 draft. The 2022 draft, that was the, what's his name? Trayvon Walker draft. Because you had Walker, Hutchinson, Texans took the corner. I can't remember who it was. You had Sauce Gardner. That was our Kayvon Thibodeau draft. That was the Evan Neal draft. But if you look at that draft and you actually look at that draft for quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett was of course, the first quarterback off the board. This was the Malik Willis draft. And Malik Willis looks like he is going to be.
That's great.
I find gotta get to work.
That's not to bring in the boom, but you know what?
Yes,
Sometimes you just have to have a dinner Giants dance party.
Come on. My name is Willie. I keep the ladies screaming and all my fans got screaming. You can defeat me. You're dreaming.
Don't forget, flex your chest. Get metrics. That was a draft that was not a quarterback draft. That was really not even a high-end talent draft outside of certain picks. That was also the Dane Belton draft. So if you take Dane Belton in the 4th round, you know you're fucked. But that was a draft that just didn't have that quarterback panache. You had Desmond Ritter. You had Malik Willis, of course, in that draft. We talked about how much we hated Kenny Pickett in that draft because of the fact that he was a 5th-year senior and the 5th-year starter at Pittsburgh, and he didn't produce until that last season. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Blackbird says, I picked up the Saints defense, and you're smart to pick up the Saints defense. Ready for the tank? Watch for Cam Ward. Carson Beck goes down with the arm injury yesterday. People are going to say, well, he got the game-winning touchdown. No, the other quarterback lost his helmet, so he had to come out for one play, and he basically handed off on that 4-yard run. But, I'm not looking at when Carson Beck went down. I didn't see the red lights of Gibraltar coming out saying, oh, no, we're all fucking doomed. I didn't see any of that. So to me, Carson Beck is just not the guy. Just not the guy. The kid from Texas, just not the guy. I love the people that are like still wanting the tank for Arch, even though we have no idea what Archie Manning is. We we've seen a blip on the radar, and Archie Sr. wants Grandpa wants him to go to Dallas. So you can't rely on that. It also this also kind of reminds me of the Mitchell Trubisky draft. I mean, it's one of those things that I mean, outside of the two guys, do you really look at this draft and go, you know what, these guys are the studs. These guys are it. No, I don't. And it's one of those things that, but you got to pick you cannot go into next season without drafting. Now, of course, people are going to tell me Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were in that draft. I meant on the top of the order of that draft, the 17 draft. But you can't go another season hoping that you're going to find a quarterback, because then you literally aren't. We've been saying the Giants aren't going to be good again until 2027. But if you have Jameis Winston as your bridge, listen, I love Jameis Winston. I love his enthusiasm. I love his excitement. I've loved that going back to when he was at Florida State. This is the same guy, though. His last full season as a starter in Tampa, threw for 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns. He also threw 30 interceptions, and I forget how many times he fumbled. And he also set the NFL record for never throwing a ball out of bounds for the entire season. Not even a couple games. He went an entire season without throwing the ball out of bounds. That set an NFL record. He had like 600 throws. This is in like the game the other day. He threw more interceptions to run back for touchdowns than he actually did touchdowns. This is not a bridge. I can't sit through another season of beyond mediocrity because of the fact that it'll be exciting, because you'll wonder what stupid thing he does next. And at least he's more exciting than Daniel Jones, because when he throws an interception, something fun happens. But don't worry, he could dance like Drew Lock. Does anyone remember the beginning of the season? Not even the beginning of the season, when we signed Drew Lock. And everyone kept telling me, well, you know what? I like him because he's got moxie. And I said, well, he's not Jonathan Moxon, but he's got moxie, man. He dances on the sideline. Yeah, he raps and he dances. Yeah, and I said I would rather have him throw touchdowns. I remember when Drew Lock was the savior. We kept saying Drew Lock's not even the question, not the answer. Hell, he's not even the question. How many times have we said that on that show? This show, that show. Matthew, what's going? Morning, Tim. And the OBP family. Blackbird says, I went to the Wizards game last night, and they finally won a game against the Nuggets. I watched the Knicks get beat by the Pistons. And with Big Cat out, the team's a different team. And I know Brunson was playing with the contusion. We just don't have we don't have no depth on the bench. And everyone get off Bridges. Get off Bridges. Get off Bridges.
That's what she said.
I mean, he's Bridges. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't even want to talk about this team right now. But Bridges, if you take a look at him, he is a guy that was always the first option most of his career, maybe even the second option at times, mostly the first. But on this team, he could be anywhere between the third or the fourth option. Because you figure you got Cat, you got Brunson, and then sometimes it's the way Ojanobi's been playing. I mean, there's a difference there. So he sometimes is fourth. So when you're fourth in the flow of the offense, your game is going to be a lot different than it was. And yes, I know he's had some issues defensively, but he's gonna be fine. My girlfriend said sleeping on the couch is the ultimate punishment. I countered being forced to watch Giants as a worse punishment. That is the worst punishment. Good morning, my James, my dude. Everyone says good morning, James. Blackbird says the teams are going after Banks more this year. We did a video yesterday. Banks' stats are not as bad as people think. The perception is this: they are going after him more because the safeties are late to cover. I keep hearing about, I loved it because there was a Giant content creator that put it out there that Tyler Nubin is having a quiet, great season. When you have something that's quiet and then add great after that, you're a moron. Because if you have something that's quiet, which means you're unassuming about something, but somehow you're being great, he's also really late getting over in coverage. He should be a linebacker. Can we be 100% honest? Our starting rookie safety should be a linebacker. And Pinnock is just not having a good season. We've shown the fact that we went through this whole video And we've shown the fact that these guys are not having these great seasons that you need to watch the games and you need to be at the games, because when you're at the games, and I've said this before, and I think I believe it even Carl Banks said it too. You need to be at the games to see what the hell's going on. Same thing with Drew Phillips, man. Stop with the fucking shoulder tackle. You've missed almost 9% of your tackles. We've said this before. Your second corner nickelback should miss about 5% of their tackles. He's missing almost 9%. Stop with the damn shoulder tackle, please. We've said it before. Be a Dijon Mustard. Lead with your shoulder. Wrap up. How many times have we said this on this show? Lead with your shoulder. Wrap up, lift, and drive with your legs. Tackling 101 against Derrick Henry. Remember when Tay Crowder gave a little shoulder shove to Derrick Henry, and certain Giant fans were like, "Oh, did you see that? He rocked him." No, Henry was running too high, and Henry even said going into halftime, "I'm running too upright." Changed his style and started running over people. This kid, open field, lowers his shoulder, wraps up, lifts, and drives with his legs. 101. And then I love it because you have some content creators who are like, well, it's not really tackling 101. Okay, show me. Tell me all about your experience tackling. I would love to know. Is someone that's got arthritis in both of his shoulders? I'd like to know. Tell me all about it. Tell me all about your experience. If you don't have any experience, shut up. David says, if the Raiders want Sanders and we have the number 1 pick, I would make the Raiders pay. I think if the Raiders have the number 2 pick and we have the number 1 pick, they're just going to go Cam Ward. Because I'm not 100% sold on this current regime being in love with Sanders. I'm not 100% sold on it. I'm not 100% sold they're going to take a quarterback in the first round. If they have one of the first 2 picks, I'm not sold that they think that they're going to go that way, even though it's only the most important position in sports. But like current Giant regimes, when we didn't need linebackers, this one doesn't think we need a quarterback. You don't build an offense around a quarterback. You can't have a $40 million quarterback handed off to a $12 million running back. What are you, fucking nuts? You know what makes me laugh to this day? We talked about how Saquon Barkley was worth at least 4 to 5 wins for this team. He's not here, and we have 2. Eagles are not in this playoff position on offense without Saquon Barkley. Said this before, and I've said this a million times, and I made fun of content creators that kept telling me, well, the Eagles' defense isn't that good. Kept telling people weeks ago, the Eagles' defense is going to be fucking phenomenal. The young talent, as they come into their own, is going to be crazy good. And that's what they are right now. Brendan Brown found Jalen Hurts for the Eagles. How he listens to his scouts, and Joe Shane listens to himself. You're right. You're right. You're 100% right. Evan, what do we got here? Looks like no one is at the stadium when tickets are $7. Let's do the New York Giant ticket watch right now. Oh, no, tickets have dropped back down to $7. They're at $8 a minute ago. Let's see here. The running back at a late pick for us is going to be a high first or second. I like the kid at Boise State. I watched him play the other night. Keenan Coleman was getting better every week before he got hurt and before the trade for the other wide receiver. Keenan Coleman has more touchdowns than Malik Neighbors. Keenan Coleman has more of a yak than Malik Neighbors. Keenan Coleman gets the ball downfield more than Malik Neighbors. And people are going to say, well, he's got Josh Allen. Yes, he has Josh Allen, but here's the point. When your yak is higher than your stud wide receiver in New York, you got a little bit of a problem. And we had to hear how Keenan Coleman did not have the speed. Keenan Coleman didn't have the chops to make the big plays. You want to laugh? If you really want to laugh, it makes you cry a little bit. Kadarius Toney has a larger has a larger yards per reception by almost over a yard and a half his rookie season than Malik Neighbors has. His success rate is 52.6. My Neighbors is 51.5. Is that, I mean, come on. How fun? I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. It is a weak quarterback class. This reminds me 2022. This really does. But I think there are at least two guys in this draft that are NFL caliber quarterbacks and can play right away. And that's going to be Cam Ward, and that's going to be Sanders. And I have no problem taking Sanders. No problem whatsoever. But you are going to have to remember as a fan base, and I have to put the caveat to this, that the baggage that could potentially come with Sanders off field will be 10 times worse than what you thought the perception was for Odell Beckham. And I didn't think anything Odell did was so bad. He had the antics, but he always showed up and played. He had the, marrying the net, the whole what's his name, Josh Norman thing was stupid. And he did get under his skin, but I don't think it was anything that was so terrible. But still, they ran him out of town. Because I love this. This dawned on me the other day. Who wants to laugh? This dawned on me the other day. One of the reasons that Dave Gettleman management used in reference to getting rid of Odell Beckham was because they didn't want him and his attitude to overshadow their rookie quarterback, who was, wait for it, Daniel Jones. Now, somehow, Daniel Jones didn't work out, and we got rid of Odell. Yes, and we did get Dex Lawrence for it. I understand that. Fork Tongue says, what are your thoughts on drafting a player on the team with several NFL prospects on the same side of the ball? Does that diminish their stock, in your opinion? No. That doesn't diminish it. Sometimes there are some teams that will run like 4 picks in a row defense, because sometimes that's what you need. And sometimes the best player available falls in that direction. So no, I think, no, I think a lot of times, sometimes you have to. I'm not talking about, we're not going to talk about Ladd McConkey yet. We're not talking about Brian Thomas Jr. yet. We're not going to talk about any about those guys yet. But no, I don't think it diminishes anything. Sometimes competition breeds competitiveness. Cutthroat, just a few more games and it's over. Thank God. No, we still have the offseason. Carson's what Evan says. No, Carson Beck isn't it. I get worried, and this is going to be the new phrase. Who is the next JJ McCarthy? Who's going to be that guy that serendipitously rises up the draft chart for really no apparent reason? Besides the fact that he has a good combine, he's got good personal workouts. And so I keep thinking Carson Beck's going to be this year's JJ McCarthy. I don't like Beck. Ewers has to be Sanders or Wood. I found it interesting that Dion is taking Pierce out to dinner, trying to get the Raiders to pick Sanders and his other son, Shiloh. I believe the Raiders and Sanders are a good possibility. It's... it's I don't know. I don't know at this time, because of the fact that we're still so far away. We're still so far away from the draft. Right now you got Jacksonville, the Raiders, and the Giants, and the Patriots, the Panthers. Jacksonville's not taking a quarterback because they dumped so much money into Trevor Lawrence. So you figure Raiders are going to be there. That the Patriots aren't taking a quarterback. You need to worry about at 3-9 if the Panthers decide to make a move. The Jets are going to need a quarterback. I think they're going to still ride with Will Levis. The Browns need a quarterback. The Bengals don't. The Saints need a quarterback. So you have how many guys in the top 10? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the top 10 that need a quarterback, and you have 2 quarterbacks. That's not a great combination. What's up, Stu? Good morning, Tim. What's good? Everything's good. Carson Beck is something the Giants. Oh, yeah. Carson Beck is 100%. That's 100% a Giants play. At least it's almost over. Turn out the lights, the party's over. What's up, Matthew says, which leads me to believe the Giants will favor Ward. I like Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward a lot now. The more and more I watched this kid play and the more and more I went back and watched, like I said, when the season started, I thought Carson Beck was going to be the guy. I really did. And then you kind of see Carson flounder a little against the competition. And you're just kind of like, just not there. And then, like I said, at Washington State, I was not a big fan of Cam. But the more I watched him play at Miami, and yes, he's got more talent in Miami than he had at Washington State, but he goes through his progressions. Things that I love about Cam Ward right off the bat, and the same can actually put over to Sanders. He's got nice fluidity in the pocket. He doesn't panic under pressure. Carson Beck's completion percentage under pressure drops by like 50%. Sanders and Cam Ward, it goes up. He's always looking downfield. I think it was what's the game that he lost? Was it Virginia Tech where he fumbled the last play? And he was trying to do too many things. And I love it because people are like, well, he plays. His problem is he likes to play hero ball. We need someone that plays hero ball. We need a Baker Mayfield. We need someone that plays hero ball 100%. And if Cam Ward wants to play hero ball because he has to, I'm okay with that. Eli Manning, and you can thank Kevin Gilbride, was not a gunslinger at Ole Miss. But he did have Eli Manning early in his career, like the first 6-7 years, had one of the prettiest deep balls I've ever seen. But he wasn't really a gunslinger. Kevin Gilbride made him a gunslinger, and that's why he had all those interceptions. Well, there's other reasons too. But because he was trying to make him play hero ball. Well, if Cam wants to do it, I'm fine with that. Pander for Sanders. What do we say? Drafting Carson Beck as the next Eli Manning. No. Cutthroat says, love the Barkley jersey. Let's go, Barkley. I'm going to give you a hint as Giant fans because you don't. Of course, I live in the Pennsylvania area, so Giant fans don't understand. Eagle fans because you see someone in Eagles gear. You don't say anything. You say, "Go Birds." That's it. And then you walk by. Raiders just can get Sanders. Giants can get Ward. Jags can get Travis Hunt. Right now, I think that's the way it's going to break down. I do think if you look at this draft, I do think that you are probably going to see Travis Hunter go to Jags, Sanders to the Raiders, Ward to the Giants. And I would not have a problem with that. But then the Giants will do something stupid. If they keep Joe Shane, they'll do something stupid like, what we're going to do? I'm going to show everyone how smart I am. I'm going to trade the 3rd pick for the 31st pick. I'm going to let the Chiefs get Cam Ward to back up Patrick Mahomes. And we're going to show the league how smart I am. Tim, it's time to bring back Tom Coughlin as the GM. I don't think Coughlin would come back here. That's why I keep saying Parcells, Coughlin, and Belichick will never come back to the Giants. And I know Coughlin. I know Parcells is like 900 years old, but he's not. None of them are going to come back to the Giants. Peace, Tim. Hope all. So everything's good. Tom Coughlin is 80 years old. Yeah. Jay Sports is still probably better than Shane Matthew. Anyone selling tickets for the Ravens game? Let me go to the secondary market for you here, my brother, and see where the Ravens game are at. We're going to be at the Ravens game. We're going to have a whole contingency at the Ravens game. So if you're in the area, say, hey, let's see here. Ravens game tickets are selling for normal prices. Let's see here. But the cheapest one, actually, the Ravens game is not selling that great either. The cheapest ticket right now for the Ravens game is $38, which will go a lot lower if they lose today. Hey, Tim, what do you think of Drew Aller, the performance yesterday in the top 10 championship game against Oregon? Actually, I didn't see it. I'll have to take a look at it. I did not see it. Evan says that the Net fans and saw Bridges the past couple seasons. He's a good third option, but still inconsistent. We have taken some night. He will have some nights he's the best when taking mid-range jump stops, not 3-pointers. Oh, I agree. He just had 40 points like 3 nights ago. So, Bridges is going to be fine. Bridges is going to be okay. T-Brad, hello, people. Hit the like button. Joe must go for the Giants to be good. Cam Ward is better than Sanders to me. I don't know. I think Sanders has immense talent. I just think Sanders, you're going to have to deal with the neon issue. And I'm not saying to say it's the ball father. I'm not saying that. But when you take him, you are going to be taking Dion as well. And anything that happens in the organization that Dion does not like is going to be magnified to 100%. Because that's just who Deion Sanders is. It's going back to his days in Atlanta. That's who it is. I would not be shocked, because I know everyone's like, well, Deion's not leaving Colorado because he got the top NFL, he got the top prospect at quarterback. That don't fucking matter. If the Cowboys, I always think this, if the Cowboys do something stupid and trade up to like 1 or 2, I honestly think the Cowboys would hire Sanders as the head coach, Deion, and then draft his son. I really do. Stop ignoring the like button. Yeah, don't ignore the like. Razzle the Great says it best. Stop ignoring the like button. Because if you ignore the like button, I'm not gonna. No, well, I'm lying. Doesn't matter. If the Giants don't draft a quarterback, I'm becoming a Bucks fan. Suffering 6 years with Dan Jones and still no quarterback. I'm fucking done. Rumor is Joe Shane is giving it back to Jones for $15 million a year and make him the starter while drafting no quarterbacks. Someone else said that as well. You know, that would be the Giant way. Because little known fact, and I talked about this the day after he signed with Minnesota. This is the brilliance of Joe Shane. Instead of just saying to Daniel Jones, fuck you, not releasing you, we're going to just let you, we're going to pay you and just stay home like they did with Russell Wilson and other players. They let him go. And little known fact, if he dresses for one game in, he doesn't have to play. This isn't college rules. He dresses for one game in Minnesota and leaves Minnesota. Minnesota gets a compensatory pick. Not a joke. Zach Attack. I think if Joe Shane has the first pick, it would be Travis Hunter. Knowing Joe Shane, you probably would. Razzles are great. Don't worry, guys. GM Joe says he can't really mess up 5 and 7. Oh, where is it?
Yeah, we've said it before. You know, some people say I'm a genius, but can you really screw up 5 and 7?
You did, Joe. You did. Here's the other worst part. Before next season starts, he's got to decide whether, or whoever the GM is, they have to make the decision whether we want to pick up the 5th-year options on Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Still not a joke. I'm mostly kidding, lol, but seriously, Cam Ward or bust. I agree, Tim. Well, thank you. Coleman's on my team fantasy. I liked Coleman coming out of college. I loved Coleman coming out of college. We did a whole video about Coleman coming out of college, how I would trade out of that spot, draft Penix, and move back into the early half of the first round. Obviously, the later half of the first round, early part of the second, and draft Keenan Coleman. I said right there, you just fixed your team. You fixed your offense. GM Tim, let's go Giants. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of excuses. What's up, Mark? Mark from Barbados. What's going on? No, in Barbados, not from Barbados. What's going on, Mark? I agree. We are drafting O-line, linebacker, DB, and defensive tackle. I love it, Blackbird. Kadarius Toney, how is that possible? For those that do not know, if you take a look at Kadarius Toney's rookie stats, now, you got to remember, Kadarius Toney only played in 11 games. Or, 10 games, only started 4. 39 receptions, 420 yards, 10.8. Malik is averaging 9.5, I believe now. 21 first downs. It's 52.6% completion percentage or success rate. Neighbors at 51. His longest reception was 38. I believe his longest reception, Neighbors is 38. And he has a larger yak. Kadarius Toney does. So if you just put Kadarius Toney in and extrapolated over another 7 games, you're probably looking at having him be like 950 yards for Kadarius Toney compared to what's going on with Malik Neighbors. I'm just saying, I don't make up the stats. I just see it. How is that possible? I know it makes me sick too. Matthew says, I think we're going to sign more free agent offense front free agents than draft to be a quarterbacks, running backs, safeties, and corners. I love the people under the thought process that the Giants have all this cap space. We got all this cap space. We've got like $60 million. You got $60 million in cap space, and you don't have a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback. You understand that, right? You could have $120 million in cap space. You don't have a quarterback. You know that, right? You're aware of this. People are aware of this. That number is so high because you don't have a QB1. And technically, you don't have a QB2 or QB3. Next year, you may go into the start of the NFL season with no quarterbacks on your roster. Think about that. Let that maturate in your mind for a second. Razzle says Carson Beck would be the Giants' new quarterback. Look at the history of. Oh, yeah, Carson Beck's going to go to the Giants. You know that. Sanders is a mouth content just like Neighbors. I get worried. I get worried of the pairing of Malik Neighbors and Sanders. And I get worried not only on the field, but off the field. Because both of them have this propensity to run their mouths. The whole shoving of the ref thing for Sanders was blown out of proportion. But Sanders going after that other kid, the other quarterback, a couple months back, because the whole Instagram feud after the game was Bush League. I'm just saying, I think it's if you are looking for a bad scenario and you thought Daniel Jones and Odell Beckham was a bad scenario, but you just think how bad it could get with Sanders and Neighbors if it's not clicking. Great balls of fire. What is our caps going to say? And I haven't even looked at the cap yet, but I know people are pointing out the how much money we have. We have all this money. You have all this money, but we just don't have a quarterback. Can someone remember that? We just don't have a quarterback. I mean, please, for the love of God. Oh, my goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. Dylan Gabriel. You know, I see a Dylan Gabriel. It was from Matthew. Giants will draft Dylan Gabriel over Beck. You know what's funny about Dylan Gabriel? When he was at not Florida State, when he was at University of Central Florida, put up like 32 touchdowns, I believe it was. You know, then he got hurt in 2021, hit the transfer portal, went to the Sooners, went to Oklahoma. And he still put up like 25, 30 touchdowns, and he hits the transfer portal again, goes to Oregon. 73% of his passes, I know. He's over 3,000 something yards. I think like 29 touchdowns. Again, he's a guy that's a 6-year player in college. I think you know what he's going to be if you look at him, and he's not going to be an NFL starter. But they should draft Ward. Expectations versus reality. I agree. Giant fans and media love to kill Darius Slayton for his drops. About 50% of his drops came on bad balls from Daniel Jones. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I know. And then now people are like, well, we need to bring back Darius. Darius ain't fucking coming back. Darius is going to hit free agency. He's going to go be a number 3 on a winner and leave this team in the dust. OBJ got traded because of the ESPN interview. He also got traded for smoking the wacky cigarette with the French model. They also didn't like the antics on the sideline. There was a lot of reason the gentleman said that they traded Odell Beckham Jr. And one of the things is they didn't want him to overshadow. Don't mention Lad McConkey running it up with Harbaugh. Can I mention Brian Thomas Jr.? Because DJ threw into coverage, he had no accuracy. Reasonable people understand that they don't, because we're not. Some certain Giant fans aren't reasonable. Razzle says, "Smash the like pin. Doesn't charge for it. I don't charge for it. You would think I did. I don't know how many likes I have. 21. Jersey Beater. What's up, Tim? I get free tickets to today's game, but not motivated to attend. there's so many. Like I said, literally. I mean, I sold my parking pass, and I have the red lot passes, so it's the whatever called the VIP lot. So you got them in the front of the stadium and everything. And usually I go for a couple, like $100. Usually I get $100, $150 if I don't use them and I sell them. I got $17 today. $17. Imagine this. You can get two giant. If you wanted to go to the game today, perfect day to go. Lowest giant tickets right now are $7. $14. You can go get your tickets, and another $14 for $28. You can get 2 tickets and a parking pass. I know, Tim, but Carson Beck's maybe. I like Dart. I do like Jackson Dart. We talked about him before. Beck's had an awful season. He really did. Agree. Sanders to the Raiders. I do think it's going to happen. He was number 2 quarterback. Beck is now 4 and 5. Oh, he's at least 4th or 5th round. Let's see. Gabriel looked good. Yeah, Gabriel looked good. He's also been in college for 6 years. When Kenny Pickett came out, I kept telling people I like Malik Willis much more than Kenny Pickett because he's got more of a potentially an upside. Because Kenny Pickett was a 5-year starter at Pittsburgh. So by that 5th year, you knew what he was. And it's like what I like to call in baseball a quadruple A player. There's only triple A, excuse me. So he's certain players are quadruple A players. They're really good because they've been so long in triple A, but they're not good enough to be in the major league. So they're quadruple A. They're never going to be major leaguers, but they're going to have a wonderful career. I think as Ron Bass has the all-time leading record for home runs in the minor leagues, but he could never get into the major leagues. Got to go to Japan. So I think that's what Dylan Gabriel's going to be. I think he's a quadruple A player. Let's see here. I was shocked out of my mind if we drafted a black quarterback. Yep, I said you can say it. I say it all the time. You can say it. Razzle, watch this. If the Giants draft, I've said this. How many times have I had those innuendos where I said the Giants are going to take the Giants aren't going to take Ward or Sanders because the carpet doesn't match the drapes. I don't think the Giants are an inherently racist organization. No, I think their propensity not to take a black quarterback in the early rounds is self-evident because you did have a run where you had Phil Simms from 79 to 93. You then put your eggs in the Dave Brown basket. You had a couple of years where you kind of floundered, but then you found Kerry Collins. Then you had a couple of years that you floundered. Then you found Eli Manning. So there really wasn't a draft need at times to take a quarterback so high, but to not even draft one at one point in time, they had and going back to the late 70s, you had 12 rounds in the draft, and then until recently you dropped down to 7. But to never draft a black quarterback in every team in your division has started at least 3 and drafted at least 2. And most also in the first round. And if you take a look if you go back to the Cardinals, who used to be in this division before they moved to Arizona, they were starting people like Jeff Blake. And then you draft, the midget, Kyler Murray. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying something, I guess. T-Brad says it's not Ward or Sanders in the top 3 picks. It's just reaching at that point. Oh, I agree. We got a video coming out on a Monday, maybe Tuesday, I think it is. I haven't finished it yet. It's what if the Giants don't take a quarterback in the first round? It's an interesting video. I've watched this every damn Miami game from the last 2 seasons. Cam Ward will transition to the NFL. Okay, I'm not worried about Cam Ward going. I'm not worried about Sanders or Ward transitioning into the NFL. The problem is the drop off between Sanders and Ward and the rest is bad. Let's see. Trade back into the first round. Take the edge guy from Williams and draft Ward later. Ward is going to be gone in the top 5. What's up, Hirsch? Everything's good. Ward is not a late round quarterback. No, he's not. He's going to be gone in the top 5. Ward will get past the top 5, making not this draft. Nope, 100% right. Baker Mayfield turned around the Bucs franchise at $8 million a year. He did. until he got paid. We need a little Baker Mayfield. When Baker Mayfield was taken 1 overall and went to the Browns, people were like, well, you can't, that's just a bad pick. And I said, I didn't really think it was a bad pick. I think he didn't have the most talent, but he had this aura about him. And he did. I mean, he came in and won as a rookie. He had a couple good seasons. But then the problem is, and this is kind of the Malik Neighbors, potentially Sanders issue, when you have a big personality, when you have a big aura about yourself, and you don't play well, that wears thin and wears out quickly. And that's what happened with Baker in Cleveland. He started not playing as well. So all of a sudden he was a malcontent. All of a sudden he was an issue. All of a sudden he was a distraction. When everything that he used to do when they were winning helped propel them and how wonderful it was, now it's a distraction. Imagine if you have two players like that. I don't trust Joe Shane at all, neither do I. I'm good with you. I'm good with either Ward or Sanders. I don't care. You need to figure out a way to get a quarterback on this draft. In this draft, you have to figure it out, and it's got to be one of these two guys, because you can't go into the 2026 draft hoping there is a quarterback. You can't. You can't keep hoping that there's going to be a quarterback. And then what? I think Archie cannot leave until after 2026. And then what? You got what's that kid's name? What's the kid out of Oregon? What's his name? Moore. I don't even see a big draft coming out in 2026. What, you got the kid what's his name? Jackson Arnold over at Oklahoma. You got the kid at Michigan State. I can't think of his name. I mean, you're going to wait to go to another draft and hope again? What's going on, James? Deion is doing everything he can to push Sanders to the Raiders. I can see that. Giants Duds Ghost says, Giants are so bad, I forgot it was Sunday today. Don't worry, a lot of us did. Don't worry, it's the Christmas season there. Where are the Ghost Brothers? I can't see them because they never play. And even when they do play, they just don't play. I mean, how many times during that trade did we say on this channel that we were so concerned that we were going to run a point in time where the Ghost Brothers both reverted?
Submitted for your approval. The Ghost Brothers. Nobody needs to be afraid.
How many times did we say we were so concerned that they were both going to have those games where that they've had throughout their careers that they both disappeared at the same time? Happened like the first 4 weeks. And it's still happening. This is Daniel's year. Oh, I love it. This is the year for Daniel. Gotta sit there. Love it sitting there.
Hey, you know what the problem is, man? This we have to do everything we can to make this guy successful. This is Daniel's year.
Joe Shane has gotten so much fucking wrong that it's no longer funny. We literally went through. How many times have we gone through the Joe Shane drafts? And if you take a look at the building block draft, the draft that was supposed to launch this team into the next stratosphere, because of the fact that it was that draft, it was that big draft. What happened to that draft? Let's take a look at it again. Darren Beavers gone, McKeithen gone, DJ Davidson backup at best, McFadden. You gotta love McFadden because he's all heart, but he still doesn't know how to cover, and he still misses tackles in bunches. Dane Belton, garbage. Bellinger, garbage. Cordell Flock, garbage. Jonathan Azuda, garbage. Wandale Robinson. How many times have we said if you get pulled down from behind at Kentucky, you should not be taken 43rd overall? Evan Neal, garbage. Kayvon Thibodeau, garbage. And people are going, well, Timmy's got 17.5 sacks. Yeah, 11.5 of them came in one season, and 7.5 of those came in 3 games. Go to last year or 2 years ago. Owens, gone. Jordan Riley, garbage. Trey Hawkins. Where did Trey Hawkins go? Remember when he came in, he was that star in camp, and I kept telling people there's a difference between playing against the Cones and it is against realized competition. Then he actually played against competition. Garbage. Eric Gray. Oh, for the love of God, garbage. Please just cut him. Jalen Hyatt, we have no clue. JMS, said it a million times before. Joe Tippmann, better prospect. JMS, undersized center who lost weight coming out of Minnesota, who is a wrestler and doesn't understand leverage and is going to get bull rushed. He has now given up the most sacks by any center in this league at 7. Deonte Banks, I'm thinking right now he's a CB2. Tyrone Tracy Jr., great player if he can hold on to the ball. Not even a great player, good running back if he holds on to the damn ball. Theo Johnson, I had to hear how Theo Johnson was that up-and-coming tight end. I didn't see it. Phillips, we did a whole video on Phillips, how he has 0 pass defenses, no interceptions, and has an 80% completion percentage against him. He's given up the most amount of first downs and the most amount of yards. But that's okay. We don't want to look at stats. And he doesn't know how to tackle. He's missed almost 10% of his tackles when a good corner, a top 30 corner, misses maybe 5%. Tyler Newman should be a linebacker. Malik Neighbors. So the only studs that you've seen is maybe is going to be Neighbors and Banks. Everything else is garbage. But don't worry, we're going to trust Joe Shane to draft a quarterback. I haven't got excited about football Sunday's games in a long time. T-Brad says, I just need good parking for that. We're going to take care of that. I got to talk to Swing Culture, and we got to figure out where everyone's going to park, T-Brad. We're going to do the logistics on Monday. So everyone just be prepared to get a text message from me. Hey, Tim, I think the Giants might fire Joe Shane, but keep Brian Dable and hire Bill Belichick as the GM. No. Belichick comes in here. He's not going to allow himself to be saddled with a head coach. Said this the moment they hired Joe Shane, and this is why I knew he was the wrong guy for the job. Any general manager that comes in is going to want to lose with his own head coach and lose with his own quarterback. Right now, Brian Dable is not a winning head coach, and you already got rid of your quarterback. Do you think Dion could posture for the head coaching job in Raiders stabbing? No, I don't think he's going to. I actually don't. Dion's not a guy that stabs someone in the back. For all the things that Dion does and how much he talks, and I remember the Neon Dion days in Florida State. He doesn't do. Let's see. Like it says, DJ will end up with a backup in Pittsburgh next year. Book it. I think he's going to be working at Home Depot. James Williams, you need to be on the staff. E2 Brutus. That's a good one. That's a good one. T-Rad said the Giants will hire Tim, James, and myself as the general managers on this team. Fan on. Yeah, because, we couldn't fuck up as bad as that. You know what? Literally, the 3 of us could fuck up just as bad. It would be more entertaining, but we could fuck up just as bad as they're fucking up right now. It would be entertaining. Who's the closest quarterback to Lamar? Between Sanders and Ward, neither, because Lamar is a different type of quarterback than these two guys are. Different type of quarterback. Jaden Miller is a poor man's Lamar. Yeah, the problem with Jaden is Lamar Jackson, when he came out of Louisville, he had this rep that he was a incomplete passer, that he was not going to transition well into the pros. That he was just, he just didn't have it. And it's almost, almost at some certain points in times, you almost kind of think, it was the black quarterback syndrome, because while he only completed 59% of his passes, he still threw for over 3,600 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. So it's not like he was this dud as a passer. He had 1,600 yards rushing with 18 touchdowns because that's what they did. But he still had the ability to throw the ball. He still had the ability to look downfield. So it's not like he was a Tim Tebow, but Tim Tebow had massive passing stats too. So it's, I don't know, it's interesting. Blackbird said, Kadarius Toney barely played his rookie season. He only started 4 games, played in 10. I like Milroe. I just can't. I just can't. Unless you're going to take him like in the 3rd or 4th. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Although the NIL money it's hard to call any college quarterback a poor man anymore. Good point. Good point. Ruining the game. We need an interior defensive lineman, edge defensive back, and a second running back behind Tracy. We may need a first running back in front of Tracy. I like Tracy. You got to remember, though, he only became a running back part of his last year at college because they knew that's how he was going to get drafted. He wasn't going to get drafted as a wide receiver. So you took in a guy that's barely played the running back position. There are guys that switch from other positions to running back that have been successful. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things that he doesn't know all the nuances. That's why he continuously fumbles. And the fumbles, you just can't have a fumble a game. You can't. I mean, literally, you cannot just do that. I'm sorry, I'm typing something. And it's just one of those things that, and I think he's going to be fine, but I don't think he's going to be that bell cow every down back. I think I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing if you look at it. And I'm not saying that he's, like I said, I'm not saying the odds are stacked against him that he is going to be 1,000-yard back consistently in this league. We're just going to throw it out there. Mark in Barbados. We will be on the island for Christmas. It's Christmas time. Let's see. Kadarius Toney's best game his rookie season was against Dallas Cowboys. He ended up getting ejected and throwing a punch with 189 yards. And of course, Daniel Jones wasn't the quarterback. Sanders and Cam are more like Josh Allen. Milroe is the closest to Jackson type, just not as good, of course. I agree. Joe Shane is going to pass on Ward and Sanders and finally get the linebacker for both. I don't think Shane Bowen's going to be here. I worry that Shane Bowen's not going to. I'm not worried about Shane Bowen. Like I said, I never thought Shane Bowen was a fit for this team. And I've praised him, though, because he has changed his style to fit his personnel. It's just not working out. And he's never had the ability to coach up a secondary. Never has. He's never had good secondaries outside of those 2 years that Jim Schwartz was his mentor in Tennessee. So he's carried that here. And like I said, I give Shane Bowen all the credit in the world for changing his defensive philosophy. He's just not that great of a defensive coordinator. Matthew says, does that tell you enough when your fan base can't trust you to make the right pick? That should tell you a lot, but we don't care. Neighbors, overrated. He's really good, but not a generational talent like Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, or Calvin Johnson. You would think, Mike, a guy that's targeted the second most times in the league by accident, he would break a big one. By accident. Missed coverage, missed tackle, somebody slips, somebody goes down. And we see the acrobatic catches. We see all these things, but you would think out of all these receptions, by accident, you would break a big one. Ladd McConkey is. Brian Thomas Jr., whose quarterback was Trevor Lawrence until he's out for the season. It's now Mac Jones. Trevor Lawrence's stats were almost identical to Daniel Jones's at the same point in time. So the quarterback play in Jacksonville is no better, but somehow Brian Thomas Jr. is busting plays. I mean, can someone explain that to me? I mean, I'll wait. I'll wait for people to explain that to me. Because right now, Brock Bowers, of course, has 884 yards. Ladd McConkey, 815. Brian Thomas Jr., 765. Neighbors is just below him at 740. Then you have Marvin Harrison, 606. And if you take a look at total targets, only Bowers is less than Neighbors with 13 less targets. If you really want to crack up, Malik Neighbors, 116 targets, 9.9 average per catch. Brian Thomas Jr., 73 targets, 16.66 touchdowns. Lad McConkey, yes, and he has the duck. Only 81 targets, 14.4 yards of reception, 4 touchdowns. This is the shit that cracks me up. And I forgot who was talking about Keenan Coleman. Keenan Coleman, who's been hurt for a while now, has 417 yards at 19.9 yards a reception. Total targets for Keenan Coleman, 36 and 3 touchdowns. I've said this before, you throw me the ball 118 times, I'm probably going to catch 20, even at my advanced age. But this is a guy you would think and this is why I love that he runs his mouth, by accident. Literally by accident, you would think he would bust one wide open.
That's what she said.
And you have some of these players that have half the amount of targets and have more yards, more touchdowns with just as poor quarterback play. But don't worry, people want Malik to talk. They brought me here to talk. No, we brought you here to catch the fucking ball and score touchdowns. You were here to save day. You had a job, Malik. I'll break this down for you. You had a job to come in here and save Daniel Jones's career. Well, Daniel Jones is in Minnesota, and you have a hip flexor. Jaden Higgins, 6'4", wide receiver out of Iowa. Okay. How about, no, I don't want Salah. I don't even need to talk about that. Hey, Tim, is it the Giants fans just don't like talented players that are loud and boisterous and always speak their minds, like Odell and Saquon Barkley? But Saquon Barkley didn't speak his mind. And we have a segment that's in love with Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't do anything, but they're in love with him. They're in love with the Malik Neighbors because that's what we need. We need a guy. I love it because I love when Carl Banks says, we need 21 more guys like him. Carl, you know damn well, if Bill Parcells had Malik Neighbors and Malik Neighbors said what he said, Malik Neighbors would have been benched. You know damn well, if Malik Neighbors was over at that point in time in New England with Belichick, he would have been benched. You know damn well that I love it because people are like, well, you can't talk about the 86 team because that's just an old head. Okay, 2011. You know, Tom Coughlin would have benched his ass. Even Kayvon Thibodeau, in his stupid own way, came out and said, you have to do something so you could speak. There's a hierarchy. You have to do something. Okay. Score a fucking touchdown. Accidentally. You would think what did we say the targets were? Let me go back. What did we say the targets were? You would think by accident, with 116 targets, you would bust a play. I think his longest reception is 38 yards. Slayton going to the Chargers will ball out with the former quarterback too. T-Brad says, what free agent should we get with all the new money? How about we get a quarterback? Tim, that's an amazing stat on Jameis. Wow. Yeah, I thought the Jameis Winston stat was pretty crazy. I remember that Jameis, for those that do not know, Jameis Winston owns the NFL record for never throwing a ball out of bounds in an entire season. And he still threw for 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. Let's see. It's crazy. $7 for a ticket, but Mara isn't giving out a free medium Coke. No thanks. I've tossed my Giants gear the trash the day Gettle and moved on for Beckham. I paid $65 for parking pass for the Sunday night football game, and they made me park around the corner at a strip mall and take a shuttle. You can get a parking pass right now. I sold my red lot one for $17. Usually get like $150. Shane had one good draft class, and let's call it. No, he hasn't even had it. This is the thing with Joe. I'm not arguing with you, Mika. This is the thing with Joe Shane. You need at least a year, 2 years, 3 years removed before you know what his draft class are. Do you think the Giants draft or sign a free agent right tackle? They might need a left tackle too, because Lord knows what's going on with Andrew Thomas. This team is so up for grabs right now. It's not even funny. Let's see here. Ironically, isn't that ironic? Don't you think? It's like rain on your wedding day. It's like a free ride
When you already paid.
Let's see. I can't even read the rest of your comments. I could say, Chris, for the love of MMA, hit the like button. Tim, I don't believe the Giants will ever turn it around anymore. Too many dummies in powerful positions. I believe now the Giants are just fueled by nepotism. I agree. Sup, Tim? Sup, Tim? We definitely have an old what? Hey, Mr. McCormick, what's up? We need an Eagles hat to match the jersey, buddy. No, I think this is better. Jersey Beaner. Why? Because for some unknown reason, and I'm going to say this, and some people may not know this, but I'm just going to bring this up. I like fucking with people. I know that's shocking. I know that's shocking. I know it's a shocking thing. But, so somehow the giant hat and Eagle jersey just sends people into a fucking tizzy. Oh, my Twitter will be crazy later. James, are you going to do that debate with Cop Izzle? All right, come on, James. What's going on with that? Giving away money to the cop just so he can debate you? You know that is the sign of a weak-minded person, not James, but Cop and Big Pat, for taking money from someone to have them on to debate them. In Vietnamese, that's known as TT. Very small. Ward game against California. He made those gutsy throws, completed them too. Ward, the Syracuse loss. What was it, 38-36 or whatever it was? You put up 300 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, and score 36 points. You think you win the game. Baker is a leader. Yeah, we talked about Baker. I'm a little behind on the chat, evidently. Being a leader sometimes means more than talent. Oh, I agree 100%. Mike Francesa said Baker was going to be a superstar. I didn't know that. And actually, Baker kind of did turn into a superstar. They won the game, but it was closer. That's the way it should be. Let's see. And when I heard tank for Arch, I want to punch a wall. I agree. Ask me. What's up? What's up? Something, Tim? We suck. Let's see. I hope they cut Azuda and Flott. You know that's coming. Bellinger and Belton. I hope that's coming too. A lot of garbage. Forgot about Beavers. How could you forget about Leave It to Beavers? I had to hear when we drafted Beavers how he was going to be this guy. Yeah, this was going to be this stud. And yes, he had the injury. I understand it 100%. Injuries happen, but the poor kid came back from the injuries and is just not a good player. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude about it. He just wasn't a good player. And it happens. I would never be a good NFL player. Wando Robinson got flipped against Dalton. I felt so bad for him. Yeah, he really did. When he turned, I'm not even going to talk about it. G-Man says, I never seen an organization built depth pieces before getting the core pieces. Bring back Jerry. I like it. Giant overhaul. Wandell was, we said during the stream, during the draft stream, it was me, Dom, and I can't remember who else was on the stream when we drafted Wandell Robinson. The first thing I said was, how can you take, it took me a couple of weeks to understand you were drafting redundancy for Kadarius Toney, but how do you take a wide receiver who got pulled down numerous times at Kentucky from behind? And I kept telling people, if you're getting pulled down from behind at Kentucky, how is that going to translate into the pros? Now, everyone keeps telling me that this was the Wandell Robinson big year. This was going to be his breakout season. I kept hearing that over and over again. 63 receptions, 447 yards, 7.1 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Well, at least he's got 2 touchdowns. His most yards of receiving per reception is 9.9 his rookie season. I mean, if you look at this, his catch, you know what I love? This is what I love about Wandell Robinson, people that love him. They don't look at things. His catch percentage, successful catch percentage, was 61 his rookie year, 53 which is bad, in 2023. It's 39.6. So he's been targeted 91 times and he only has a success rate of 39.6. But somehow Wan'Dale Robinson's fucking awesome. And he's got no yak. I keep saying he should be Darren Sproles. We should be running him more. This is the other thing with the genius that is Joe Shane. He should be running the ball more. Let him run the ball. He had 9 carries last year for 87 yards. He's got 3 for 18. Out of those 9 carries 2 years ago, 5 of them went for first downs. He's Darren Sproles. Use him as Darren Sproles. Put him on kickoff. Put him on coverage. I mean, whatever. He's not going to have the speed of Sproles, but he's like Darren Sproles. My Patriot fans were droning on about Belichick going to the Bengals. Belichick just interviewed at North Carolina? Big T, what's up, Greg? Spike the like. Tracy has to do some Velcro on those hands. He is careless. Tracy is careless. Charles Way, who we just saw the other day at the Coaches Club, he used to carry the ball like a loaf of bread. Carried it like a loaf. It was a weird way to carry the ball, but that was his way. And he even talked about it the other day when we were at the Coaches Club. He was like, that's just the way I carried the ball. That's just the way I ran. I had this weird style, but that's how I did it. But it worked for him. And he had 3 fumbles. Charles Way did his entire, in 337 carries. Charles Way had 3 fumbles, and they all came in one season. They all came in that season where he almost ran for 700 yards, which was, I believe, was 97. But he carried the ball like a loaf of bread, but he only fumbled 3 times his entire career, and all 3 came in one season. So here's my theory. Find a way that's comfortable for him to, and I think a lot of it with Tyrone Tracy is he doesn't know how to protect the ball. You got to, and that's a nuance of being a running back that you learn from Pop Warner through high school, into college, into the pros. And like I said, he doesn't have that experience. Clifford Franklin. I love Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin, because the ball is like a one-man call for Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin only one catching it. Clifford Franklin only one coming down with it. One of the greatest non-real wide receivers characters ever. And that's Orlando Jones. Play Clifford Franklin. And I've told the story before. Orlando Jones doesn't like me. I was an asshole, so I can't fault him. But we ran into him in a bar in Orlando, and I knew who he was right away. And this was not long after the replacements came out. So I saw him, and I'm like, "Hey, Clifford Franklin." I said, "Clifford Franklin, you holding on that drink?" Because Clifford Franklin's like a one-man cold. He's the only one coming down with it. He's the only one catching it. He's the only one coming down with it. Yeah, he didn't like that. He was not a fan of my humor. It did not go well with me and Orlando Jones. The Giants suffer from severe nepotism. All I want for Christmas is a new first-round pick.
A first-round pick. A first-round pick. All I want for Christmas is a first-round pick. So Joe Shane can fuck it up.
Oh my God! Hello, Tim. What's up, Juan? The Giants should take another running back in the draft. I like the kid from Arizona State. I like the kid from Boise. I watched him. The kid from Boise, man. I watched the game on Friday night at a bar, and that kid is, that kid's something else. We will never know how good Malik Neighbor is unless you get him a quarterback. I agree. My keyboard has a mind of its own sometimes. It's all right. Brock Bowers is having a better season than Neighbors, and no quarterback. Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence are both more accurate and have better timing than Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Danny DeVito. Mac Jones, the guy that flamed out under Belichick. Mac Jones, whose highest completion percentage is his rookie year at 67 and has gone down every year since his rookie season, down to 62% in Jacksonville. Mac Jones. Charles Barkley, man, I love you. You know that. But I might have to put you in timeout just for that comment. Let's see. At the time, Mara needs to step down as president. He to be owner, stay out of football. Reassign Chris and Tim to consult the roles. They can be in the room, but keep their mouths shut. Yeah, you need me to you need me in there. Let's see here. Good morning. What's up, Mick? Good morning, Tim. Quarterback at SMU looked good all season. No one's talking about it because you know who the focal point is this year, right? Brian Robinson isn't the focal point of the offense either. They have something called other thing than talent. Listen, I'm not saying there's not any other quarterbacks in this draft. I'm just saying that the Giants need a gold jacket talent. Since Tim McDonald has been the director of player personnel, this team's record has been atrocious. He's got to go. Who, aside from the family, keeps their job for 12 years and sucks at it?
That's what she said. That's what she said.
One more time.
That's what she said.
Bark didn't run his mouth. He was nice. He always said the right things. I would have traded Neighbors for. I'm not going to trade Neighbors for running his mouth, but I am going to say this: you got to start producing. I mean, that's it. That's all you got to do. Kayvon is the bust. I agree. I believe the Giants are just plain bad and trash as a franchise. They're okay. We know what his current regime has done nothing to prove that they can build a winning team. Where's James? I want to put the chat. Where's James? I'm going to put James on blast here. James, where you at? Come on down. Come on down. You are the next contestant on. Come on down, James, because I want to talk about James. I want to talk about the James Williams challenge. So I put the James in the chat. If Joe doesn't draft a quarterback this offseason, how long does he last? He doesn't last a week. Belton drives me crazy in the red zone, especially plays like they don't know where the ball is. It's infuriating. This was the thing about Dane Belton. We've talked about Dane Belton before. We talked about Dane Belton 2 years ago, and everyone talks about, those interceptions that he had that were gifted to him. But no one talks about that. The next 7 passing touchdowns against the Giants, and we talked about it and we broke down the plays. They were all with Dane Belton as the trailer. As the safety, if you're the trailer on the play, it means the guy got behind you. Just throwing that out there, Dane. Damn it. I'm going to whisper. That means the guy got behind you. The time has come to clean house and move on from the regime. We need Bill Belichick or someone who has the ability to change our culture and our attitude, the players, and still winning one. I agree. Azuto was basically doing the same thing, like they know they're playing in the NFL. I agree. Giants scouting team isn't really that good, and I love it because the Giants scouting team was revamped by Joe Shane. And remember this, I heard from content creators, they put neon in the draft room, which was going to make the Giants draft better. They put neon in, guys. I heard that and I was like, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard. The Giants are more, their draft room is more high tech because there's neon in it. New neon, same results. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. 35 likes. That's just disgusting. Wandale taught Leak how to drop balls on third down and run routes in front of the sticks. You're right. Wandale or Pickens. Let's consider Wandale's 5'7", yet another miss by Shane. We always talk about George Pickens, and and you don't know. But sometimes you see things in players. And sometimes it takes the mind of someone that's away from the situation, who's just a fan, I think, that looks at a player and says, and I said it to Dom right in the draft.
Draft, baby. Yeah.
I said it to Dom in the draft. I was like, dude, he gets pulled down from behind at Kentucky and had a propensity of running out of bounds at Kentucky. So how the fuck does that translate at 5'7" into the NFL? It translates to about 7.1 yards of reception and a 38 or 39% catch percentage. What's up, Alexander? Happy Sunday, everyone. I've never said how he was accurate, just more accurate than vagabonds who trotted out this year. Well, You kind of did. But I love you, man. Pietro, what's up going? Hey, Tim. What's up? Hey, Pietro, how you doing, my brother? Greg says, I believe we should consider trading Thibodeau to obtain some value while he still has the opportunity. However, it seems that Shane does not engage in such actions. Here's the thing about trading Kayvon Thibodeau. The rest of the league has seen him play. We talk about the 3 sacks he had again in the Jet game. I think it was 3 sacks in the Jet game. But we also failed to talk about the time that Zach Wilson rolled out of the pocket and ran away from Kayvon Thibodeau for the big completion that put him in the position to win the game. We also talk about that Kayvon Thibodeau has not been known to have the ability to disengage from players or get around players that lack his same potential. When you get blocked by a quarterback, and this was actually a big play by Swift on a first down, and you can't get around Jalen, and you're supposed to be this stud defensive end, this game wrecker, this changer. I'm going to get a sack a game. My rookie season, I'm getting 16 sacks. You got, what, 4.5? Just saying. So the rest of the league, I guess I'm getting to the point, the rest of the league is seeing the way Kayvon plays. You got a 2 and a 5 and swapped 5th rounders in this year's draft for Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, for Brian Burns. What do you think then you're going to get for Kayvon Thibodeau? 4th? I mean, think about that. I mean, I do. And I think that's crazy that people are thinking, and I'm not saying you, my friend. I'm just saying it's crazy that people are sitting here thinking, well, we can do this. I don't know. I don't know, because right now the Giants, we just don't. I mean, we just don't get it sometimes. I don't understand how come we don't get it. I really don't. And I wish I could sit there and tell you I understand fully why the Giants just don't understand how to draft anymore. Just don't have this thought process of doing things. I don't know. And I wish I did know, to be honest. But it's going to be it's this crazy thing that, you know, you got to, I don't know. Peter said, how do you feel if Dable and Shane got fired and we took Hunter this year and got a bridge quarterback in free agency, then drafted a quarterback in 2025? Who's your bridge? And I'm not calling you out, Petro, but this is what I hear all the time. Who's the bridge? Who is out there in 2025 right now that's going to be a bridge quarterback for this team? Right now, I think the biggest name potentially is going to be T. Higgins out on the market. What's his name? Godwin, I think, is out in the market. But who is going to be? I mean, Sam Darnold is going to be a free. So Sam Darnold's going to be a free agent. Do we really want to ride with 1-year wonder Sam Darnold when we've seen that with Daniel Jones? How a system at times can to make your players. Justin Fields. People hated Justin Fields, and we could have had him for a 7th round pick. Or maybe he goes back. I mean, what's the and like I said, Peter, I'm not picking on you, but who's the bridge? Who's the bridge out there that's better than Drew Lock and Danny DeVito? That's the sad part. Hey, I'm just trying to figure it out. Hey, Tim, if the Jacksonville Jaguars win 2-3 games, the Giants lose 5 more games and secure the number 1 round pick in the 2025 draft. Hope so. Kayvon is terrible. Alexander said it's embarrassing that Kayvon even thinks he can beat Strand's record. Guy talks too much. But don't worry, you're allowed to talk on this team because that's what we need, according to Carl Banks. Seeing this play makes me question Joe Shane and this team. Hey, Massey says Dan Campbell is nuts. So aggressive and believes in his team like Dable's first season. Dables needs to go back and define what's making him. He's become conservative. Dable came conservative after the 7-2 start. Because you can see that they finished 2-5-1. Because if you go back to the tie, you go back to that Washington tie, they never threw the ball. They never threw the ball in the fourth quarter or in overtime. They ran. You got the great Daniel Jones and you're running the fucking ball. Because they knew that Daniel Jones would fuck it up. Travis Hunter, the only player to take in this draft. The Giants should draft him. That's a lock. No, they're not going to. They're not going to have the first overall pick. I understand Fields, but we kind of know the Fields thing. If Daniel Jones, college quarterback, wasn't Cutcliffe, yeah, you're right. We wouldn't be there. A lot of Giant fans are putting stock in Arch coming out only after 1 year. Highly doubtful. He can't come out till after 2026. Sam Darnold, there is no great bridge quarterback. We have a shot at Warden Sanders. If we have that shot, is a good reason to not pass it up. I like Jameis Winston for a year, then a draft. Yeah, Jameis Winston will be fun, but Jameis Winston is going to drive you fucking insane. Literally, Jameis Winston will drive you insane. I wanted Gardner Minshew, but he was so bad. He was so bad with the Raiders. I don't want Gardner Minshew anymore. Maybe we can get Uncle Rico. I guess James isn't around. I think Russell's going to stay in Pittsburgh. I think Russell will stay in Pittsburgh. If Fields pans out, great. If not, he was a bridge to begin with. Here's the other thing. Russell Wilson's not leaving Pittsburgh. Why would you leave Mike Tomlin? I mean, seriously. If I'm Justin Fields and I know the age of Russell Wilson, I stay in Pittsburgh. Literally, you have an $8 million quarterback room in Pittsburgh. I would stay there if it's me. Right. I mean, they assume Arch will come out next year. I can't see that happening. They won't risk taking anyone this year. It's crazy. The whole Arch. We don't even know what Arch Manning is yet, because we've seen a blip in college. I would consider bringing Jameis Winston as a bridge quarterback. While I understand the way he throws 100 interceptions, he passes quality of a good leader and motivator. Here's the thing about that. Jameis Winston's act wore out quickly in Tampa. You had a guy that threw for over 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, and they got rid of him. And what happened the year after they got rid of Jameis Winston? They get Tom Brady and win a Super Bowl. His act wore thin halfway through the 19 season because Tampa was not going to be a great team in 19, but they were better than 7-9. And it was one of those things that I remember one game, and I can't remember which game it was. It was almost pick for pick. And he just kept throwing picks. He just kept throwing interceptions. He just kept throwing them. And they lost the game. And they lost a couple of those games because of Jameis Winston throwing interceptions. And like I said, his leadership qualities all of a sudden became an annoyance in Tampa. And they moved on from him. And this is before they even knew they were getting Tom Brady. So, I mean, it's Jameis Winston is the best, worst quarterback of our lifetime. Arch will not leave college early. He's going to graduate. All the Mannings have. You're right. People forget about that. That's what I think too, Matt, especially with the NIL. It's only a conversation because his last name. You're right. But the Giants love nepotism. You're right. Moet, me and my son are at the game. Coaches Club. We're hoping that you're at the game to meet you, Tim. What's the good chat? Sorry, Moet. You know what's funny? We just did. We talked to the wife about it, and we were both like, we were thinking about going, And I'm sorry that you're there and we get a chance to meet because I would love to meet you. I love meeting people. I love meeting people that follow the show. It's funny. Because it's one of those things that, like, when I go with James, if I go with James and Big L, we run into everybody. And I go with certain other people, we don't run into anybody. But I go with those two, and we run into everybody. I mean, everyone's like, oh, and it's great because, like I said, it's great to put a face to the name, because of the fact that, we've been doing this for 3.5 years now, and it's great that everyone that we've got the chance to meet and great chance to talk to. And like I said, I've met people, and I meet a lot of people at the Coaches Club, and I met people that told me they hated me. And then after they meet me, they're like, well, you're kind of really nice. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a dick. I'm a nice guy. Moet, we're going to be at the Baltimore game. I don't know if you and your kid are going. I'd love to meet you guys if you're going to be at the Baltimore game. All of us are going to be at the Baltimore game. Let's see. Archie can't throw. Archie yet to throw. Yeah, Archie can't yet. He threw 30 interceptions too. Greg's what Zach says, you forget Jameis Winston did not like Laskett in Tampa. Oh, hey, did not have LASIK in Tampa. You're right. I'm sorry. Giants should have grabbed before did he get released? I didn't know Emmanuel Ford's got released. I didn't know that. Matthew says, I'm going to my original comment. Just because Eli played for the Giants doesn't mean every man after him will. Archie didn't want to play for the Giants. Peyton didn't want to either. Archie wants to be Archie Manning Sr. came out and said he wants Archie Jr. to go to the Cowboys. See, what's up, Mr. Sanders? What's up, Tim? What's up, chat? The fan base is wishy-washy since 2011. The 2012 season was a one that Gen Z forgets. I can't talk today. It's 11:30. I gotta go out. I gotta do some shopping. I gotta hang out. We're gonna do some shopping here because we have to. I'll probably have the Giant game on in the background, but I doubt we're really going to watch that much of it. But you know what? I mean, we'll see. Like I said, maybe it's a fun game. Maybe it's one of those games that you sit there and, enjoy. Moet's out there. Moet manned up and went out with his kid. Now he made me feel bad. He went out there. I don't have any college football predictions, Zach. Now I feel bad that Mo went out there with his kid and he's at the Coaches Club and I'm not there because I was lazy and I didn't want to drive to watch a bad team and I sold my parking pass and I gave my tickets away for $1. On that note, hope everyone has themselves a safe holiday. We will have our live stream on Monday afternoon at 11:30. So make sure I guess that's kind of like brunch time. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll also have our video after the game. Everyone, hope you stay safe. Have yourself a good time. And as always, this is your Giant Straight Talk powered by Online Big Blue LLC and Charles Barkley. I don't know where Sosa's going. I hope he goes to the Mets. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you do all that fun stuff. And you want to know why? Because we're out of here.